Afghanistan, dusty and relentless, stretched as far as Ryan Carter's eyes could see. Uneven brown hills, patches of parched land. It had been another punishing day of patrols for the seasoned Marine sniper. He knelt behind a battered concrete wall overlooking a valley, scanning for insurgent movement through the telescopic lens of his rifle. Sweat soaked the collar of his desert camouflage, the mid-afternoon sun beating down mercilessly. Ryan was 37, but war had carved its lines across his face and flecked his once dark hair with strands of gray. He could measure entire lifetimes by the dust in his boots. His team called him Clear-Eye for his unwavering calm under fire. But that steady heart rate spiked the moment he felt his phone vibrate in his pocket. The faint ring was easily lost beneath the hum of a faraway chopper, but Ryan's instincts told him to check. When he slipped out the phone, the screen showed a voicemail from an unknown number. Ordinarily, he'd ignore it. Scammers or wrong numbers were common, but the prefix belonged to his hometown in California. A dread he couldn't quite name tightened in his gut. Glancing at the horizon, no hostiles in sight, Ryan rose to his elbows, lowered his rifle, and pressed the phone to his ear. Static. Then a shaky voice. "Dad, I don't know if you can hear me," the boy stammered, fear reverberating in every syllable. "It's Josh, Dad. Please call me back or come home or something. Mom's with this guy, Diego Vargas. He's scary. I can't talk louder. They're cooking drugs here, Dad, in our house. They have guns, and they keep telling me that if you try anything, they'll use me as a human shield." The message ended with the beep of a disconnected line. Ryan sat there, phone still pressed to his ear, staring at the dry valley. The rustle of wind over rocks was replaced by the pounding of his heartbeat. Lisa, his ex-wife, had full custody of Josh. He and Lisa had parted ways shortly after Josh turned 9, the official documents filed in a courthouse on the outskirts of Riverside. He'd never once imagined she'd drag their son into something so dangerous. His hands balled into fists. For the first time since setting foot in Afghanistan, Ryan felt truly afraid, terrified for his kid. Emergency leave. Back at the forward operating base, Ryan wasted no time. He found his commanding officer, a career Marine with salt and pepper hair, behind a battered steel desk. Ryan's request for emergency leave was abrupt, almost out of protocol. But seeing the haunted look in Ryan's eyes, the CO only asked a few terse questions. Within 24 hours, Ryan was on a transport flight to Kuwait, then on a commercial plane to LAX. Dust-swept camos traded for worn jeans and a plain jacket. He arrived stateside exhausted, adrenaline surging whenever he pictured his teenage son's voice trembling with fear. He stepped into the arrivals area, blinking at the swirl of families hugging returning service members, men in suits rushing for taxis, college kids hauling backpacks. Ryan cut through the crowd with purposeful strides. There was no time for emotional reunions or welcome home balloons. His first call was to Lisa's phone, which went straight to voicemail. He tried again. The same result. He tried Josh's phone. No luck. Anxiety strangled his chest as he made his way to the rental car kiosk. "Reservation for Carter," he growled, drumming his fingers on the counter. He had to repeat himself. His voice came out ragged, near panicked. An hour later, he was on the freeway in a gray sedan, weaving through traffic like a man possessed. The city's sprawl gave way to suburban lanes and strip malls. Finally, at dusk, he turned onto the street where he and Lisa once lived together, a modest neighborhood with single-story homes, postage stamp lawns, and a view of the distant hills. His stomach clenched. He spotted 2 unfamiliar SUVs parked in front of Lisa's driveway, both black with tinted windows, cartel style. The curtains on the house were drawn, lights glowing behind them. Ryan parked half a block away, heart hammering. He took a moment to steady himself, thinking over tactics. Storming in unarmed was foolish, but he was no typical father. He was a trained sniper, adept at infiltration. He popped the trunk and retrieved a small backpack. Inside lay the sidearm he'd stashed away, unregistered, purchased through a buddy in the Corps. He checked the magazine, chambered around, then paused to dial an old friend. Reunion with a detective. Raymond Knox was a detective with the local PD, older by about 10 years. He picked up on the third ring. "Ryan Carter," came the familiar, gravelly voice. "Haven't heard from you in years. Back in town?" "I need your help, Ray," Ryan said, forcing calm. "Lisa's place, cartel involvement, my son's in danger." A moment of stunned silence on the other end. "Where are you?" "Outside the house, 2 black SUVs. Could be armed men inside." "Listen, don't do anything stupid, Carter. You hear me? The local PD is either compromised or terrified of these guys. Let me handle it." Ryan swallowed. I can't just sit here, Ray. My kid's inside. I'm clocked in. I'll drive by for a courtesy check, but if the rumors are true about Vargas's men, then I have to tread carefully. It's bigger than me. Bigger than you. Stay put until I arrive. Hanging up felt like an eternity. Ryan's fists tightened on the steering wheel, mind racing. He leaned back, scanning the house from a distance. The curtains moved. A silhouette, male, tall. Then another, possibly Lisa. 15 minutes later, a battered sedan rolled past, driven by Detective Knox. In a perfect world, he'd pull up with backup, sirens blazing. Instead, he circled the block slowly, headlights off. He paused next to Ryan's rental. "Follow me. We'll talk somewhere quieter," Knox said through the open window. Ryan obeyed. They reconvened in the empty lot behind a nearby convenience store, neon lights buzzing overhead. Knox stepped out, adjusting his rumpled sport jacket. He looked exhausted, eyes ringed with shadows. "I've been working narcotics for 6 months. Some of my colleagues were investigating a cartel cell in the area. Diego Vargas's name came up. He's known for cooking meth in small suburban labs. He operates out of private residences, using threats and bribes to keep neighbors silent." Ryan's nails bit into his palms. "That's in my ex-wife's house, then. That's the small lab?" Knox nodded grimly. "Likely. Word on the street is that Vargas expanded. He invests in real estate. If he sets up shop in your old home, it means Lisa let him. She's either in deep trouble or in deep with them." Ryan's jaw worked silently. "I heard a voicemail from Josh. He's terrified. Vargas is using him like a hostage." Knox rubbed his temples. "I'll try to get a warrant, but everything is compromised. The chief is in bed with local politicians who prefer to look the other way. Fear or money or both." Ryan's voice dropped to a near growl. "So we're alone." "Not entirely. There's a DEA agent I trust, Nina Delgado. She's been pushing for a crackdown on Vargas's outfit. Feds can override local interference, but she's short on resources." Glancing at the time, Ryan said, "Introduce me. We can pool intel. I'm not leaving my son in that house a minute longer than necessary." A flash of caution crossed Knox's features. "Don't do anything rash. This is bigger than one rescue op. Vargas has an entire network." Ryan's eyes went cold. "I'm not naive, but the second I have an opening, I'm going for Josh." The house of betrayal. It was nearly midnight when Ryan eased back into his ex-wife's neighborhood. Knox had parted ways to arrange a clandestine meeting with DEA agent Delgado. Ryan needed to see with his own eyes what was going on inside that house he used to call home. He parked on a side street out of sight and moved on foot. When he'd left the Marines stateside months before for a short break, he'd done similar low-crouch approaches on training ranges, but now it was heartbreakingly real. A tall wooden fence enclosed the backyard. Ryan scaled it swiftly, dropping into the dark yard. The grass was overgrown, peppered with random trash. He crept under the shadows of a half-dead orange tree. Through a corner window, faint light flickered, maybe from the TV or a security lamp. Then he heard voices. Footsteps crunched on the gravel. Ducking behind a rusted barbecue grill, Ryan listened. A gruff male voice. "We should push more product, or we move the lab." Another voice, smoother, commanding. "We stay for now, you hear me? Until the next batch is done. Then we shift. Lisa's too shaky. She might talk." Ryan recognized that second voice. It had to be Vargas. He chanced to look around the corner. 2 men stood at the back door, each armed with a handgun. Through the open door behind them, Ryan glimpsed someone inside. A woman with long blonde hair. Lisa. Her expression was hollow, eyes darting anxiously. She carried a tray of stacked bills. Ryan's heart clenched. This wasn't just an affair. She was actively helping them count drug money. Another figure scurried by. Josh. Taller than Ryan last remembered, but still a 15-year-old kid. He looked pale, overtired, eyes ringed with red. He carried what appeared to be a stack of cash, too. One of the armed men barked something at him in Spanish, pointing to a table. Lisa set her tray down and turned to Vargas. "When are you going to let Josh go stay with a friend? He's a kid, for God's sake. This isn't safe." Vargas smirked, lighting a cigarette. "He's our insurance policy in case that Marine father of his shows up playing the hero. Right, Lisa?" She flinched, but didn't protest. Another wave of fury slammed into Ryan. He wanted to burst in and drag his son out that very second, but he saw the second armed guard approaching from inside the house, plus 2 more men visible in the living room. Outnumbered, outgunned. He receded into the darkness, heart pounding with the force of a war drum. He now understood the cold, bitter truth. Lisa was complicit. The mother of his child had brought a cartel kingpin into their family home, prioritizing God knows what. money or power, over her own son's safety. And still, she had the audacity to act worried, like a victim. Ryan clenched his jaw. All right, Lisa, you made your choice, but you messed with the wrong father. Lost allies. Knox had arranged a secret meeting with Nina Delgado at a late-night diner 2 counties over. Ryan arrived at 1 in the morning, the fluorescent sign casting a sickly glow across the parking lot. Inside, the place smelled of burnt coffee and old grease. Delgado, early 30s, dark wavy hair pinned back, wearing a black blazer, sat in a corner booth. She looked up sharply when Ryan slid in opposite her. Knox was next to her, arms folded. She spoke first, voice low and urgent. You're Ryan Carter, the sniper. Ray told me about your situation. I'm sorry about your son. Ryan cut straight to the chase. Vargas is in my house. He's running a lab there. My kid's a hostage. I want to take them out. Delgado exhaled. You can't do it alone. The DEA's had Vargas on our radar for 2 years. He's slippery, uses small-scale operations, bribes local police, rotates labs. If we move too soon, we'd lose him. Ryan's fists balled under the table. I don't care about losing him. I care about saving my son. Knox placed a hand on Ryan's shoulder. We have to be strategic. Storming that house now ends badly. Delgado nodded. I can't promise immediate rescue if we stick to standard protocols. We need more intelligence, like where Vargas keeps his major stash, how many men guard him at a time. If we bust him for just a small meth cook, he'll be out on bail by the weekend. Then he'll vanish. Your kid might vanish too. Ryan breathed hard, remembering the anguish in Josh's voice. So I gather intel, sabotage from within, and you build a bigger case? That's the deal. She leaned forward, eyes intense. Pretty much. Give me enough for a federal-level takedown. We'll keep your son safe in protective custody. But right now, the DEA is stretched thin. You'll have to be my eyes and ears. I can quietly funnel you support, a safe house, maybe some gear, but there's no big SWAT team on standby. Knox added, I'll help off the record. Officially, my hands are tied. Ryan sank back against the vinyl seat, jaw clenched. So be it. I'll do it alone if I have to. Delgado studied him a moment. Ray says you're the best sniper he's ever seen. I believe it. But be cautious. Vargas has no limits. If he suspects you, he'll kill your son. And I can't risk blowing the operation until we have him on major charges. Ryan's voice turned cold as steel. I'll be careful. But you better keep your phone close, Agent Delgado, because if my kid is in immediate danger, I'm going in. First move. The next evening, Ryan scouted the neighborhood. He noticed a handful of men standing guard, likely rotating shifts. An older neighbor, Mrs. Hernandez, once friendly with Lisa, now stayed indoors, curtains drawn. A local patrol car cruised by occasionally, never stopping. Bribes or intimidation had worked their dark magic. Ryan set up a vantage point in an abandoned second-floor apartment across the street, recently foreclosed. From the dusty window, he had a clean view of the side door to his old house. Through the rifle scope, he counted at least 4 men, heavily armed, plus unknown numbers inside. He recognized the subtle signs of a drug lab, tinted plastic bins, portable ventilation units venting out a back window. A few deliveries came in by night, men unloading suspicious barrels or duffel bags. Ryan snapped photos on a digital camera provided by Delgado. The DEA needed proof of large-scale activity. He began logging license plates, times of arrival. Meanwhile, Lisa's presence was sporadic, sometimes glimpsed carrying laundry or packing boxes from her bedroom to a newly arrived minivan. She looked haggard but was still functioning. Josh, on the other hand, rarely appeared. Ryan's chest tightened every time he caught a fleeting glimpse of his teenage son. The boy seemed to have aged prematurely, face drawn with stress. Nobody hurts my son, Ryan vowed silently. Deep into the night, Ryan retreated to a cheap motel a few blocks away. A flickering neon sign outside cast eerie shadows on the mustard-colored walls. The first time he tried to sleep, he dreamt of the dusty roads of Afghanistan, of insurgents kidnapping children, of a father powerless to save them. He woke drenched in sweat, heart hammering. Days passed. Delgado received Ryan's photos, nodding her approval in a series of hushed phone calls. She'd pieced together a larger puzzle. Shipments, distribution routes, ties to other cartel cells. In that time, Ryan's frustration mounted. He wanted direct action. Knox texted him one afternoon. Meet me behind Carmichael's bar, 3 p.m. Don't be late. Ryan found Knox next to a dented dumpster. The detective had a bruise on his cheek and looked frazzled. What happened? Ryan asked, scanning the alley. Knox spat on the ground. I got a warning from someone high up in my precinct. Back off the Vargas case or else. I told Delgado she's not surprised. The corruption runs deep, Ryan tensed. We can't rely on local backup then. Exactly. Here. Knox handed Ryan a small slip of paper. That's the address of a stash house, one of Vargas's distribution points. I overheard some chatter. If you want to cut off his supply lines, that's your first target. Delgado can't move on it officially, no search warrant, but an unofficial sabotage might spook Vargas. Keep him on edge. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Surgical strike? Take them out quietly, force them to shift resources? Knox sighed. I can't tell you to break the law, but if supply lines start drying up, Vargas's operation gets shaky. He might tighten guard on the lab, or he might move your son. Hard to predict. Ryan exhaled. I'll do recon first. Minimal collateral, minimal risk to Josh. Knox's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. Delgado's calling. I gotta go. Ryan, watch your back. Vargas plays for keeps. Nina's warning. Before launching any sabotage, Ryan wanted Nina Delgado's take. He drove 2 hours to a small diner off the interstate, a location she'd chosen for its anonymity. She sat in a corner booth, coffee going cold in front of her. He slid into the seat, tension in his shoulders. Knox told me about a stash house. Her brows lifted. Yes, he mentioned that to me. I can't officially sanction any vigilante moves, but I also can't stop you. We're stretched too thin. However, I have a piece of gear for you. She handed him a black duffel bag under the table. Inside was a discreet Kevlar vest, 2 flashbang grenades, and a high-end night vision scope. If you go in, she said quietly, use caution. If you get caught, it's your funeral, and you'll blow my entire investigation, understand? Ryan's gaze flickered to the bag, then back to her. I won't get caught. She leaned forward, voice dropping. You realize every day you wait, your son's deeper under that monster's thumb. But if you act prematurely, you risk Josh's life. These operations are never neat. Ryan ran a hand over his stubble. I know the risk. But if I can hamper Vargas just enough, make him scramble, I might find an opening to get Josh out. Delgado studied him. You'll need more than sabotage. You'll need to isolate Vargas. One of his enforcers, Hector Ramirez, recently got arrested in a traffic stop up in Bakersfield. He's out on bail, but rumors say he's unhappy with Vargas's leadership. Maybe you can exploit that. Ryan breathed hard. I'm no detective, Delgado. I'm a sniper. Negotiation's not my specialty. A ghost of a smile appeared on her lips. Sometimes all it takes is letting the bad guys turn on each other. Keep your eyes open. He nodded, rising to leave. Thanks for the gear. As he walked to the parking lot, Delgado called after him softly. Stay alive, Carter, for your son. The stash house. Night fell on a nondescript suburban block. The stash house in question was a run-down ranch-style home, chipped paint on the siding, a chain-link fence in disrepair around the yard. Broken streetlights created pockets of shadow. Ryan parked 2 blocks away, creeping in on foot. A low hum of music came from inside, Spanish rap blasting through cheap speakers. Through a back window, he caught sight of men packing plastic baggies into boxes. Adrenaline spiked. He slid on the night vision scope Delgado had provided, scanning for potential guards. He spotted 2 men smoking near the front door, rifles leaning against the porch rail. Another strolled along the side yard, occasionally glancing at his phone. 3 visible, possibly more inside. Ryan took position behind a neighbor's tall hedge. He clipped the Kevlar vest under his black sweatshirt. Carefully, he prepped a flashbang. He thought about the best approach. The side yard had fewer eyes on it, but the roving guard complicated things. He waited until the roving guard turned the corner of the house. Then Ryan moved, quiet as a wraith. Reaching the side door, he wedged it slightly open with a crowbar. The music masked any noise. He lobbed a flashbang through the crack, swiftly stepping back, pressing against the siding, ears straining. A second later, bang! A blinding light flared from within, followed by shouts of confusion. The men outside cursed, stumbling or looking for cover. Ryan seized the moment, darting inside. His world was tinted green from the scope. He found 2 men in a makeshift kitchen reeling from the flash. A swift chop to the back of the first man's neck sent him to the floor. The second tried to raise a pistol, but Ryan slammed him into the counter, disarming him with a practiced twist. Chaos reigned. Another figure burst from a back room. Ryan dove behind a couch. Bullets shredded the air above him. The music continued, its thumping bass overshadowed by curses in Spanish. Focus! Ryan popped up, firing 2 shots from his sidearm. The figure crumpled. He advanced down a hallway, glimpsing bags of white powder stacked in a closet. Another occupant, young, wide-eyed, raised trembling hands. Ryan knocked the pistol from the youth's grip, letting him scramble away rather than harming him. Satisfied the inside was neutralized for the moment, Ryan dashed to the main room, spotted a small mountain of product, cocaine, meth, and wads of cash. He yanked open containers, poured a jug of bleach he'd found in the kitchen all over the powders. The chemical stench burned his nose. He lit a cloth with a lighter and tossed it onto the soaked pile. Flames hissed and spat, devouring the contraband. Shots from outside. The two men on the porch had regained composure. Bullets tore through the window, shards of glass raining down. Ryan flattened himself behind an overturned table. Smoke billowed, swirling in the dim light. He grabbed the second flashbang, yanked the pin, and hurled it through the broken window. Another deafening crack, another burst of white light. The shooters yelled, disoriented. Ryan vaulted out, smashing through the front door. He fired two more precise shots. The porch guards collapsed with anguished groans. A final guard, the roving one, tried to flank him. He managed a glancing shot at Ryan's shoulder, but the Kevlar vest saved him from serious injury. Ryan returned fire. The guard dropped. Panting, Ryan sprinted away from the scene, heart thundering. He'd left behind a scorched stash of drugs, incapacitated enforcers, and minimal direct evidence linking him to the crime, aside from bullet casings. He knew the local police might show up eventually, but by then, he'd be long gone. He peeled off in his car, the night's adrenaline surging in his veins. It wasn't a victory parade. He'd taken a massive risk, but any blow to Vargas's operation might force a reaction that Ryan could exploit. Closing in the next morning, the local news briefly mentioned a possible home invasion at a suspected drug house. No arrests made. The occupant suspects are all in critical or stable condition, a reporter said. Ryan monitored the broadcast from his motel room, a cup of black coffee trembling in his hand. A text from Knox buzzed in. Heard about that stash house. No direct evidence. Some watchers suspect rival cartel. Keep your head down. Ryan turned off the TV, staring at the worn carpet. He pictured Josh, still stuck in that meth lab masquerading as his old home. Lisa's involvement still filled him with sorrow and rage. She'd apparently chosen power or security or fear over her own child. But maybe she'd been coerced. He'd find out soon enough. Time to see if Vargas would react. Later that day, under the blazing mid-afternoon sun, Ryan found a new vantage spot near Lisa's house, a neighbor's second-story attic with a dusty round window. The occupant, an older man with shaky hands, had no love for the cartel presence next door. He let Ryan in quietly, no questions asked. Through binoculars, Ryan watched two of Vargas's SUVs tear out of the driveway and speed off. Men emerged in the yard, phones pressed to ears, scowls on their faces. Lisa stuck her head out the front door, scanning the street anxiously. A tall figure loomed behind her, Diego Vargas himself, wearing a crisp white shirt unbuttoned at the collar, gold chains glinting in the sun. Vargas barked an order. Lisa flinched, stepping back inside. Soon, Josh appeared briefly, carrying a small cooler into the garage. The boy's shoulders slumped with exhaustion. Ryan's blood heated. If this turmoil was in response to the stash house sabotage, it was working. But it also meant heightened danger for his son. He had to stay ready. His phone vibrated. Delgado. Delgado. Phone. Ryan, I'm hearing chatter. Vargas is furious. He thinks a rival cartel might be moving in. Watch out. He might do something extreme like relocate the lab or hurt your son to send a message. Ryan, I'm on him. If they move, I'll follow. Delgado. We're close to a bigger operation. Another week or two, and we'll have enough on Vargas for a major federal raid. Keep feeding me intel. Ryan hung up, ignoring the dread roiling in his gut. Another week or two? Could Josh survive that long as a hostage when money talks? That evening, Ryan decided to approach a side player, Hector Ramirez, the disgruntled enforcer rumored to have issues with Vargas. Through Knox, Ryan got the name of a dingy pool hall Ramirez frequented, a no-frills place with tinted windows, neon beer signs, and battered pool tables. Ryan walked in, eyes adjusting to the haze of cigarette smoke. Latin hip-hop thumped from overhead speakers. Leaning against the far wall, swirling ice in a glass of cheap whiskey, was Hector, mid-30s, broad build, a scorpion tattoo across one forearm. Ryan recognized him from DEA mugshots he'd studied. He approached calmly, ignoring the suspicious glares from a couple of men by the bar. Ryan, quietly. You're Hector, right? Hector's eyes flicked up. Who's asking? Ryan took a seat on a stool, speaking in a low tone. I got a job for you, or maybe an opportunity. Word is you're not happy with Vargas, Hector snorted. You got the wrong guy. Ryan shrugged, letting a $100 bill peek out from his wallet on the bar. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. I hear Vargas is losing it. Botched shipments, labs getting hit. He's a ticking time bomb. Hector studied the money, suspicion turning to interest. What do you want from me? Ryan's voice hardened. Where's Vargas stashing the rest of his product? Where does he go when he's cornered? I want him vulnerable. A derisive laugh. You trying to move in on him? You don't look like a gangster. Ryan allowed the faintest smile. Let's just say we share a common enemy. Hector took a slow drink, eyes flitting around the room. Finally, he muttered, he's got a safe house in the industrial zone, a warehouse near the old train depot. If trouble hits the suburban labs, he sometimes retreats there. Ryan laid another 100 on the bar. Is that where he'd take valuables if he needed to relocate quickly? A shrug. Could be. He's unpredictable, man. Don't come crying to me if he tears you apart. Ryan tipped his chin. Thank you for your honesty. He got up to leave. Before he could step away, Hector's voice stopped him. Hey, you sabotaged that place. Leave me out of it. I like breathing. Ryan didn't reply. He disappeared through the front door into the warm night air, mind racing. If he forced Vargas into that warehouse, maybe he could orchestrate a rescue of Josh there. The question was how to ensure Josh ended up there, instead of being killed in a moment of cartel rage. Test of loyalty. Lisa hadn't been entirely silent. Late that night, Ryan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Ryan, we need to talk. I'm so sorry. Meet me tomorrow, 8 p.m., Redwood Park. He stared at the screen with grim disbelief. Could it be a trap? Or genuine remorse from a mother who realized the horror of what she'd done? Against his better judgment, Ryan replied, Fine, 8 p.m. But if this is a setup, I'll know. The following evening, Redwood Park was nearly deserted under a hazy moon. Ryan arrived early, concealed himself behind the trunk of a massive oak near the parking lot. At 8:10, Lisa pulled in driving an old sedan, not the minivan from earlier. She stepped out, scanning the shadows, arms wrapped around herself. Ryan emerged from behind the tree, gun in hand but pointed downward. She visibly flinched, guilt or fear making her voice tremble. Ryan! He stared, heartbreak and anger wrestling inside him. You brought a drug lord into our home. Our son is living in a war zone. Tears shimmered in her eyes. I never wanted this. Vargas came around right after you redeployed. I was behind on bills, depressed. He offered me money, protection. At first, I believed him. I was lonely, Ryan. Lonely, he repeated scornfully, stepping closer. So you let him set up a meth lab in the garage. This is beyond a fling, Lisa. She looked at the ground, hugging herself. He didn't reveal everything all at once. By the time I realized how dangerous he was, it was too late. I'm stuck. He threatened to kill me, kill Josh. He said he'd cut us up if we tried to run. When I tried to throw him out, two of his men pinned me down and forced me to watch them beat a neighbor who'd complained about the smell. Ryan's grip on the gun tightened, knuckles white. You could have called me the police. Someone. She shook her head desperately. He has the cops in his pocket. I was scared. Ryan, I'm sorry. I swear, I've been trying to protect Josh. Vargas uses him as leverage. Says if you show up, it's curtains for him. He closed his eyes, forcing the anger aside to think clearly. Look at me. She did, tears streaking her cheeks. Josh is counting money for a cartel, probably traumatized for life. Do you understand? She swallowed hard. He hates me, Ryan. My own son. Vargas is paranoid now. He thinks a rival gang sabotaged one of his stash houses. He's pushing to move the lab soon. He's already packing some gear into a truck tomorrow. Ryan's pulse kicked up. Does that mean he'll move Josh too? Likely. And if he does, it's to that warehouse, some rundown building near the train depot. I overheard them mention it. Ryan, if you're going to help us, it has to be soon. He searched her face. Are you telling me this to save yourself or to save Josh? She wept harder, frustration twisting her features. Yes, I made horrible choices. Yes, I won out, but I love our son, Ryan. Believe me or not, I'm telling the truth. He lowered the gun. If you're sincere, you'll keep me updated. Every movement, every plan. If you betray me, Lisa. He let the warning hang in the air. She nodded, trembling. I understand. Ryan stepped back into the shadows, leaving her sobbing in the moonlight. The relocation. Before dawn, Lisa sent a cryptic text. They're moving tonight. Ryan flew into action, calling Knox and Delgado. They met on an isolated stretch of road outside town. Delgado wore a weary expression. I can't mobilize a full team on such short notice. I have to coordinate with my superiors. It might take days. Ryan swore under his breath. We don't have days. They're moving him tonight. Knox eyed Delgado. You can't just let him handle this alone. Delgado slammed a fist on the hood of her car. Damn it, I don't want to. But the chain of command is tying my hands. If we blow the op early, Vargas could slip away or kill the boy. Ryan's gaze hardened. Then I do it my way. I'll follow them to the warehouse. I'll extract Josh. I'll feed you whatever evidence you need along the way. She gritted her teeth, but nodded. Just keep me posted. I'll try to move in with whatever agents I can gather, but I can't promise cavalry in time. Knox pulled a revolver from his belt. I'm coming with you, Carter. I can't do much as a detective right now, but I won't let you face that alone. Ryan felt a surge of gratitude. We'll do this quietly, in and out. Let's go. Shadows on the highway. That evening, Ryan and Knox parked a safe distance from Lisa's house, concealed behind an abandoned store. Through binoculars, they watched as multiple vehicles loaded up, an SUV, a box truck, a sedan. Men hustled plastic containers, lab equipment. Lisa lingered nervously by the driveway, while Vargas oversaw everything, his face set in a permanent scowl. Knox tensed. There's your boy. Ryan's breath caught. Josh stepped out, forcibly guided by a stocky enforcer. The teen rubbed his eyes, as if exhausted or drugged. He was placed in the sedan's back seat with 2 gunmen. Eventually, the convoy rumbled down the street. Ryan and Knox let them get a few blocks ahead before tailing in Knox's plain sedan. Out on the highway, the convoy spread out. Ryan kept the headlights off, staying 2 or 3 cars behind, always aware of potential watchers. It was a tense, white-knuckle pursuit. After half an hour, the vehicles turned onto a rural exit leading to an industrial zone. Rusted warehouses, piles of scrap metal, and deserted train tracks gave the place a ghostly feel. Finally, they reached a sprawling building with shattered windows and weed-choked parking lots. The convoy entered through a chain-link gate, topped with barbed wire. Ryan killed the lights and parked well outside. He exhaled shakily, checking his gear. Time to do what I do best, Ray. Knox grimaced. I'll back you up, but I'm no Marine. Don't expect miracles. Ryan managed a brief, grim smile. Let's go. Infiltration. They crept around the perimeter. Floodlights lit parts of the warehouse yard, revealing half a dozen armed guards patrolling with dogs. Diesel generators rumbled, powering the interior. They could hear distant clanging from within, as if men were setting up equipment. Crouching behind a stack of old pallets, Ryan whispered, We need to find where Josh is. Knox nodded. I'll cause a diversion on the far side. When they react, you slip in. Ryan placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. Be careful. Knox dashed off quietly. Moments later, a muffled gunshot rang out from the opposite end of the yard. Shouts of alarm followed. The dogs barked and guards hurried that way. Ryan seized the opportunity. He pressed against the side of the warehouse, found a rusted door, and picked the lock with tense, practiced fingers. It gave with a screech. Inside, darkness and the smell of chemicals enveloped him. He slipped into a corridor of stacked crates and metal drums. The overhead lights flickered. Voices echoed. Spanish curses, instructions to move faster. Ryan moved slowly, pistol at the ready. He glimpsed men carrying bundles of equipment into a large open space. In a side room, behind half-open doors, he spotted 2 guards standing over a figure slumped on a chair, Josh. Ryan's heart thundered. The boy looked dazed, ropes around his wrists. A surge of primal fury coursed through him. Focus. He couldn't just barge in. 2 armed men, plus who knew how many outside. He unholstered a suppressed pistol, steadied his breathing. Clack. He kicked a stray piece of metal with his foot by mistake. 1 guard spun, suspicious. Ryan fired twice, both shots silent but lethal. The guard collapsed. The second guard managed to raise his weapon, but Ryan shot him as well. Panting, Ryan rushed inside. Josh jerked his head up. His eyes widened with shock and relief. Dad? Ryan pulled out a folding knife, cutting through the rope. He carefully pressed a finger to his lips. We're getting out. Quiet now. Josh tried to stand, but stumbled, wincing. They injected me with something, some sedation, I think. Ryan half lifted him, tucking the boy's arm over his shoulder. It's okay, I've got you. But escaping wouldn't be that easy. Alarms suddenly blared. Someone had discovered the bodies or realized an intrusion. Red emergency lights blinked on the walls. Boots thundered through corridors. Father and son Ryan dragged Josh deeper into the shadows of the warehouse. They huddled behind tall crates while gunmen stormed about. Josh, whispering, voice trembling. Mom tried to help me. I caught her unlocking my door once. She kept telling me to keep my head down. But Vargas, he's insane, Dad. Ryan's chest tightened. I'm here now, son. We'll make it out. For a moment, father and son locked eyes. Ryan saw the fear in Josh's gaze, but also relief. It fueled Ryan's determination like nothing else. Gunman's voice, shouting in Spanish from the next aisle. Find the intruder. Check the entire perimeter. Ryan glanced around, mind racing. No easy exit now. They'd have to fight or hide. Footsteps drew closer. Ryan motioned for Josh to flatten himself behind a wooden crate. He waited, breath held, sidearm raised. A guard emerged, scanning with a flashlight. Ryan fired a single shot. The guard dropped. Another guard behind him returned fire, bullets splintering the crate. Ryan shielded Josh, returning shots until the second guard fell. Adrenaline hammered in Ryan's veins. We have to move! Still supporting Josh, he found a side passage that led to a catwalk above the main warehouse floor. From up there, they could see men rushing around, weapons drawn, confusion rampant. A thunderous voice boomed from below. Carter, I know you're here! Vargas. He stood on the warehouse floor, flanked by two of his best enforcers. Lisa was shoved in front of them, arms pinned. Vargas pressed a gun to her head. Come out, or I kill her first! Josh gasped. Mom! Ryan's stomach twisted. He cursed under his breath. Of course Vargas would use Lisa. He needed to weigh the risk carefully. Ryan edged to the railing of the catwalk, aiming his pistol downward. The vantage gave him a partial shot, but Lisa was in the line of fire. Vargas scanned the rafters, sneering. Vargas shouting, Marine sniper, big hero! Let's see how heroic you are when your wife's brains are on the floor. Lisa's eyes brimmed with terror. She tried to speak, but Vargas jammed the gun harder against her temple. Josh clutched at Ryan's sleeve. We can't just let her die. Ryan's heart thundered, mind rifling through possibilities. He had one flashbang left from Delgado's gear. The catwalk was about 15 feet above the floor. If he tossed the grenade near Vargas, it might blind him just long enough. But Lisa could be hurt if she was too close to the blast. Ryan, soft to Josh. When I say go, cover your ears and look away. Josh nodded, trembling. Ryan pulled the pin, lobbed the grenade. Vargas's eyes flicked upward, shock crossing his features. The device clattered near his feet. Ryan yanked Josh's head down, bracing. Flash! White-hot light filled the warehouse, accompanied by an ear-splitting crack. Vargas cried out. Lisa dropped to her knees, hands over her ears. Ryan sprang into action. Gun in hand, he fired precisely at the two enforcers flanking Vargas, dropping them before they could recover. Vargas himself stumbled, half-blind, disoriented. Ryan vaulted over the catwalk railing, landing hard on a stack of crates, then rolling to the floor. Pain jolted his ankles, but he pushed through. He scrambled to Lisa, pulling her away from Vargas. Run, he barked. She crawled behind a forklift, coughing from the swirling dust. Vargas blinked furiously, regaining his senses. His gun swung up, firing wildly. Bullets whizzed past Ryan, one grazing his upper arm with a searing burn. He returned fire, but Vargas ducked behind a steel support column. The ring of gunfire echoed, sparks flying off metal. Vargas, voice echoing, You took my product, my lab, now you want to steal my woman too? She gave herself to me. She wanted power. Ryan gritted his teeth, edging closer. She's not your property. Another burst of gunfire forced him back. Vargas was pinned down behind thick steel plating, but he had decent cover. Ryan glanced around for an angle. Josh huddled near a wall, watching with wide eyes. Lisa crouched behind the forklift, sobbing, half-panicked. Ryan realized time was short. Any moment, more cartel gunmen would converge on the spot. A flicker of movement. Vargas charged out from cover, firing in short bursts, trying to close the distance. Ryan felt the impact of a bullet across his vest, knocking the wind out of him. He staggered, vision swimming. Vargas tackled him, sending them both crashing into a stack of crates. Ryan's gun skittered away across the floor. The two men grappled in a frenzy. Vargas smashing an elbow into Ryan's jaw, Ryan retaliating with a knee to Vargas's ribs. The cartel boss was surprisingly strong, fueled by adrenaline and rage. Vargas, snarling. She chose me, Carter. She was bored of your soldier life. Ryan's face twisted in fury, but he saved his energy for the fight. He twisted free, delivering a solid punch to Vargas's side. Vargas grunted, stumbling. Ryan, breathing hard. I don't care what she did. My son's not your shield. Vargas roared, launching another flurry of blows. Ryan blocked some, took others across his shoulder. Then, in a lightning move, Vargas drew a small knife from his belt, slashing at Ryan's torso. Ryan barely dodged, the blade slicing across his ribs. Blood soaked through his shirt. Gasping, he seized Vargas's wrist, twisted until the knife clattered loose. Vargas, sneering. I've killed Marines before. You're nothing special. Ryan mustered every ounce of strength, headbutting Vargas. Pain exploded behind his eyes, but Vargas reeled back, dazed. Summoning his sniper-honed reflexes, Ryan stooped for the knife. Vargas, spitting blood. "Your boy's next." That was the final spark. Ryan lunged, driving the knife up under Vargas's ribs. The cartel boss's eyes went wide with shock. He collapsed backward, blood bubbling on his lips. For a moment, time froze. Ryan stood there, chest heaving, the knife slipping from his grip. Vargas gurgled, body convulsing. Then he lay still. Josh rushed forward, ignoring his own fatigue, tears streaming. Lisa staggered behind him, equally shaken. Ryan pressed a hand to his side, wincing at the burning gash. "Josh, Dad, we gotta go. There's more of them." Ryan, "You're right. We move now." He glanced at Lisa, eyes steeled. "If you want to live, stick with me." She nodded wordlessly, guilt etched into her features. They weaved through corridors. Gunshots rang out from distant parts of the warehouse, likely Knox trying to hold others at bay, or other enforcers firing blindly, confusion rampant. By the time they reached the outer loading dock, the night air felt cool and strangely quiet. Several bodies lay scattered, guards, incapacitated by earlier gunfights. Ryan called out softly, "Ray, where are you?" A groan answered from behind a forklift. Knox lay there clutching his shoulder. A bullet had grazed him, but he managed a crooked grin. "Hell of a night, Carter." Ryan helped him up. "You can't die on me yet, old man." Knox chuckled, grimacing. "Wouldn't dream of it." They hurried to the fence where a battered portion allowed them to slip through. The chain-link gate was locked from the inside, but no one was left to stop them. They piled into Knox's sedan. Ryan felt relief so profound it nearly crushed him. Josh was safe, bruised and shaken, but alive. Lisa, in the back seat, wept silently. Ryan said nothing to her. Cleanup Op Delgado arrived 10 minutes later with a small team of DEA agents. They found Ryan, Knox, Josh, and Lisa waiting by the roadside. Ryan's injuries needed attention. Josh had used a torn t-shirt to press against the bleeding on Ryan's torso. Delgado, surveying the scene. "We just raided the warehouse. Found enough evidence to bury Vargas's cartel associates. Some fled, but we'll track them." Ryan winced. "Vargas is dead." Delgado's eyes flickered with an unreadable emotion. Better than letting him escape again. She gestured for her men to move in. "We'll lock this place down. We'll put out bulletins for any known cartel members." Paramedics arrived soon after. They checked Knox's shoulder and Ryan's injuries. Josh, trembling, insisted he was fine. Lisa stood apart, arms around herself as if trying to hold together the pieces of her world. Aftermath. The next day, the feds swarmed the area, gathering evidence, hauling away crates of seized product. Headlines splashed across local news. Major cartel bust in abandoned warehouse. Kingpin, reportedly dead. Corrupt local officials were exposed, either by witness testimony or by Delgado's carefully compiled evidence. Knox sat in his hospital bed, a fresh bandage on his shoulder, sipping lukewarm coffee. Ryan, similarly bandaged around his ribs, visited him. They shared a tired smile. Knox, "We did it," blew a massive hole in their operation. Ryan, quietly, "Yeah, wish it hadn't come to that. But Josh is safe." Knox nodded. "That's what matters. I'll probably face an internal review for going rogue, but Delgado's speaking in my favor." They lapsed into silence. Ryan's thoughts inevitably drifted to his son, who was being evaluated for trauma by a child psychologist recommended by the DEA. Josh had barely slept since the ordeal. He'd break into sobs at random intervals, flinching at loud noises. "Ryan, thanks for having my back, Ray." Knox, "Always. That's what friends do." Meanwhile, Lisa, who had also been brought in for questioning, admitted to the arrangement with Vargas, initially for quick money, then trapped by threats. She showed genuine remorse, but the feds had evidence of her complicity. She faced potential criminal charges for aiding and abetting a drug operation. However, Delgado recognized that Lisa had also been coerced, living under the constant threat of violence. It was complicated, legally and morally. At the end of the day, Lisa was placed under supervised release until a formal decision was made. She wore an ankle monitor, living temporarily in a safe house. Josh refused to see her, his betrayal and hurt too raw. Fragile bonds. A week later, Ryan stood outside the hospital. He stared at the morning sun cresting over the palm trees, taking in the crisp air. Despite the bandages beneath his shirt, he felt a sense of cautious relief. Josh was staying with him at a modest apartment the DEA arranged for protective custody. Knox had been discharged, returning to light duty. Delgado was finalizing the paperwork on the bust. The victory felt hollow, though. What now, Ryan wondered. Josh had endured trauma. Lisa's fate was uncertain. The house where Ryan once lived, a place of family memories, was now a police-taped crime scene, thoroughly contaminated by violence. He walked to his rental car, carefully lowering himself into the driver's seat. The plan was to pick Josh up from a counseling appointment. Then maybe they'd head somewhere quiet, away from the city, the swirling media, and lingering cartel members who might want revenge. At the counselor's office, Ryan found Josh in the lobby, slumped in a chair, earphones in, eyes distant. Ryan cleared his throat. Ready to go? Josh glanced up with a hollow nod. They drove in silence for a few miles, the tension thick as smog. Finally, Josh spoke, voice trembling. Dad, I thought you weren't coming. I thought you'd never come back from Afghanistan. Ryan's heart twisted. I'm sorry, I never wanted to be away from you. Josh nodded, tears brimming. She said you were dangerous, always risking your life for wars that didn't matter. But you saved me. Thank you. Ryan gripped the wheel, blinking back moisture in his own eyes. I'll always come for you, son. Nothing is more important. They continued on, forging a fragile bond in the quiet of that car ride. Lisa's plea days turned into weeks. Lisa's hearing loomed. Ryan received a call from her attorney. She's asking to speak with you. He debated ignoring it, but some part of him needed closure. He arranged a brief meeting in a supervised setting, Lisa's safe house, with a federal officer waiting outside the door. Lisa looked pale, thinner. The ankle monitor blinked on her leg. She stood as Ryan entered, voice shaky. They might put me away for a long time. He said nothing, arms folded. She hesitated. I don't blame you if you hate me, but I need you to know I never stopped caring about Josh. I lost myself in fear and greed. Ryan's chest felt tight. You almost destroyed him, Lisa. He's traumatized. He can barely sleep. She burst into tears. I know. God, I know. I don't expect forgiveness, but I had to try. Please, tell him I'm sorry. I don't deserve it, but maybe one day he'll understand. He swallowed hard, thinking of the woman he'd once loved, the mother of his child. Was she always capable of such betrayal, or was she broken by life's pressures? He didn't know. Ryan, quietly. I'll tell him you asked about him. That's all I can promise. She bowed her head, tears falling on the tile. Thank you. He left without another word, heart too raw for extended goodbyes. Outside, he gave a curt nod to the federal officer. Maybe she'll earn redemption in time, he thought. But that's not my burden anymore. A new beginning. With Vargas's cartel scattered, the immediate threat to Josh dissipated. Delgado's superiors praised the successful bust, and while they frowned upon the unofficial aspects, they acknowledged that Ryan's intervention had spared a hostage and accelerated the takedown. Josh continued therapy, struggling to reconcile the mother he once knew with the woman who'd chosen a criminal path. Ryan did his best to fill the gaps, cooking simple dinners, taking Josh to baseball games or quiet fishing spots, letting him heal at his own pace. They found a small townhouse near the edge of the city. The living room was bare bones, an old couch, a TV with mediocre reception, and a dining table they'd rescued from a thrift store. But it was safe, quiet. Knox visited occasionally, dropping off a pizza or some leftover police jackets for target practice. Delgado stopped by once, in civilian clothes, to check on Josh. He gave her a timid smile and thanked her for helping bring down Vargas. One late afternoon, Ryan took Josh to a local gym. He showed him basic self-defense moves, mindful of not pushing too hard. Afterward, they grabbed ice cream sundaes at a mom-and-pop shop. For the first time in months, Josh laughed at something silly, how Ryan's hot fudge was dripping everywhere. Ryan felt a surge of hope. He'd been a soldier half his life, but fatherhood was a battle that demanded a different kind of courage. He was determined not to fail again.